Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly for pricing. My email is tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Glam rock might be dead, but glam metal, especially when it's white gold, lives at Rolex. And this is glam metal at its best, white gold with sapphires and diamonds. It's the 2018 Rolex Oyster Perpetual Submariner Date 116659 SAPPHIRE. This watch features 3.9 carats of sapphire and 1.72 carats of diamonds on the lugs, crown guards, bezel, and dial. In white gold, it's 40 millimeters in diameter, 12.3 millimeters thick, 48 millimeters from lug to lug. If we include the end links, the total distance across the wrist is 51.1 millimeters and has a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll zoom out a little bit here. This was one of two white gold sapphire and diamond subs with the same reference that came out that year. The other one features sapphires paving the dial. This one has a little bit more tonal contrast. You could see that it's not huge. The watch is a traditionally sized sub, which means on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, it feels massive and it's got an outrageous character, but it does fit well, particularly since it is only 12.3 millimeters thick. It's something that'll slide underneath the cuff, so if you want to wear it with a tight sleeve, you certainly can. We'll take a look down the barrel. I've got enough clearance on each side that I could recommend this watch for a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference. The bracelet is the Oyster, long-running, a 3-link sports design. You can see it has polished centers, polished outer faces, and then satin shoulders will clear up the resolution right there. And I should mention now that Rolex has its own foundry. It smelts its own gold alloys, makes its own cases, bracelets, and clasps. And Rolex does something a little different. It uses what's known as gray gold, which is the better quality 18 karat white gold. It's the type that is white all the way through and never needs to be rhodium plated. So Rolex is making everything you see here. And I should also notify you that if you want a handmade Rolex in the modern era, your only option is gem set, because whereas every other option, save placing the movement in the case, has been automated at Rolex, the gem setting is still done exactly as it would have been done with the same tools, the use of heat and flame and natural light, exactly as you would have seen in the 19th century. So this is still a handcraft process at Rolex. And here we have a lot of diamond setting and sapphire setting, which means the maximum of Rolex handcraft. The end link is integrated. There's a little bit of a taper to the bracelet. You can see removable links are fixed in place using screws. The clasp has a combination of a spring-loaded beacon hook lift lock system. You can see that latches once. The only way to open it is to unlock it by flipping the switch. And then, of course, there is a little clamshell lock with a curve underneath the crown so you can more easily dig in your nail. This is a Rolex dive watch, so it's got glide lock. You can see increments of 2 millimeters and 20 millimeters of total travel, so 10 stops. It allows you to fine-tune fit, but also to pull all the way out for use over a diving suit. Taking a quick look at the clasp itself, you can see it has differential finish, polish on the stripe at the top as well as the flanks, and then satin flanking that stripe. This is the super case era sub, so we have these squared off case profiles that are sheer with squared off lugs to match. There's a lot of gem setting going on here. The only part of gem setting that is automated at Rolex is the use of an optical scanner to ensure that the gems are of the same color and clarity, so you don't see gradients of color or clarity from gem to gem. They're matched using an optical system. Everything else is done manually. Now, the dial of the watch is made of gold, and the gems are then set onto the gold. You can see that we have a invisible setting for the diamonds and sapphires of the bezel, which is to say you can see the outer bezel and the inner bezel, but you don't have these all-encompassing four-corner pincers that hold the diamonds on the lugs and the crown guards. You can also see that the first 15 minutes, the sapphires are actually quite a bit lighter, so you can distinguish those critical first 15 minutes of a dive. The remainder of the sapphires are identically dark. You could see the attention to detail that the edge of each sapphire and each baguette diamond here has been beveled and chamfered off its side, so each one has 4 facets. The bezel is still a 120-click unidirectional rotating dive bezel, so while it does not have a luminescent pearl, it is nevertheless still functional as a timing organ. It cannot run backwards and accidentally extend your dive. The detent of Rolex Rolex bezels these days is best in the industry, with a unlikely pairing of silky glide and sharp detents. They feel and they sound superb. Now, the dial includes white gold indices and white gold hands so that you have no tarnish or oxidation of these components over time. I should also mention that there is luminescence here, but you're going to want to double check to be sure, because there's less luminescence than you'll find on a standard Submariner. That said, you still get all three hands luminescence, so you do know whether the watch is running in the dark of the depths. Also important to note, this is one of the least encumbered Rolex dials you're going to encounter. Note, none of this officially certified nonsense. It's very clear. This is not a Rolex Submariner that is officially certified, superlative chronometer, blah, blah, blah. It is just Rolex and Submariner. That's all you need. Technically speaking, it's still 300 meters water resistant. Underneath the case back, we have the Rolex manufactured caliber 3135 bidirectional automatic winding, 48-hour power reserve, hacking seconds, quick set date, 4 hertz beat rate, 31 joules, chronometer certified. The movement is then cased up after the chronometer certification, and Rolex adjusts it in 6 positions to ensure that it runs no worse than -2 + 2 seconds per day. So while the superlative chronometer notation on the dial can be bothersome, nevertheless, it is nice to know that it is substantive. It does mean something. It means the watch has been adjusted beyond chronometer standards. It has a full balance bridge with a free-sprung balance for toughness and precise adjustment. It also has an overcoil hairspring for concentric breathing and thus equal timekeeping in any physical position with respect to gravity. And finally, that hairspring is a blue oxidized niobium zirconium alloy that is highly anti-magnetic. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.